Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Collinwood for YouTube, back with a Dark Shadows video for you guys and gals. I'm here to give a character retrospective. Well, sort of. It's Harry Johnson, played by actor Greg Slocum. Uh, no, this is not the first character Greg will has played on Dark Shadows. The first character he's ever played would be Noah Gifford. And you might ask, well, who's Noah Gifford? Well, the character of Noah Gifford, played by Greg Slocum, was sort of a con artist. He gambled. He was somebody who was very shady. He was almost, was he a poor man's Willie Loomis? That would come, not to Noah Gifford, but to Harry Johnson. And Noah Gifford is killed off by the most unlikely character, which could prove that Victoria Winters is not a Collins, because she actually is a good shot with a gun, because she actually kills Noah Gifford with a gun, shooting him. so, um, which brings me to the present day in Dark Shadows in the 1968, which is 1967 still. Keep in mind that here's a character, or 68, whatever. Keep in mind that Victoria Winters has returned from 1795. She's not too long from returning from it, I should say. And there's a knock on the door, and again, Noah Gifford, played by Greg Slocum, same look. There's no, he has a hairstyle, and she opens the door, and here's Harry Johnson. And Victoria does what any woman would do who she thought she killed. She screams. Alexandra is a great scream queen. She is one of the most unsung scream queens ever. When I first watched Dark Shadows, I had a huge crush on Alexandra. I'm not going to lie. I mean, my God, that woman, stunningly beautiful. Um, so, Greg Slocum's character here is going to be introduced as Harry Johnson, Mrs. Johnson's son. I'll cut to the chase right away. Is Harry Johnson a well written character? No. Is that Greg Slocum's fault? No, it's the writers, but to be fair to them, they had a lot of other things going on. They had the Adam arc going on, was going to go on. The Dream Curse was going to happen. They had a lot of irons in the fire, if you will. And when you meet characters on Dark Shadows or any other show, you should know one thing: not every character is meant to stick around. And I would say you sort of got that pretty quickly with Greg Slocum's Harry Johnson. It's like it just felt like that he wasn't meant to stick around. I mean, and I'll get to what I think they maybe should have done. And am I going to give in to fan service? Yes and no. I'm going to give one for fan service and one what I would have liked to see too. Because ultimately, Harry Johnson is more of a poor man's Willie Loomis. He's a really poor man's Willie Loomis. To even mention him and Willie in the same breath is sort of an insult to John Carlin's character. And he's not that good of a criminal. He's not that intimidating. You would not believe he's it doesn't come across as believable. And it really doesn't come across believable as Mrs. Johnson's son either. Again, I'm not saying that's Greg's fault. It's just the way the writers wrote him. He's more of a bumbling, stumbling sort of idiot, if you will. And again, is that the way they wrote him? Probably. He falls in under the lackey category. I'll say his character is a lackey. He works for Barnabas, then he works for Nicholas Blair. Basically, he's, not to insult Greg, but the character himself, Harry Johnson, is basically a supernatural lackey bitch, if you will. He just gets tossed around. Um, So, so there's, uh, he's not in any really major angles at all. He's not the most important character on the show. He's not going to, even if he was written in an angle that was good, he's not going to be the most important character on the show. You know, and you could say, well, there are characters who weren't important, but they were entertaining. I would agree. You know, Buzz is one of those characters that maybe not is the most important character, but he's damn sure entertaining. And it's kind of weird that you don't have that quality here. Noah Gifford did have an entertainment quality to him, at least. You know, at least with going off Forbes, Lieutenant Nathan Forbes, played by Joel Carruthers. You don't have that here playing off of Mrs. Johnson. And I don't think that's Clarice Blackburn's fault either. I just think that's just the way it is. Sometimes you have characters that have really good actors who have really good chemistry together, and sometimes they just don't. Again, I'm not faulting the actor or actress. I just think that happens in television shows and movies. It just does. So what's something I wish we would have seen from from a character standpoint? You know, from a fan theory standpoint, we've all felt Mrs. Johnson was this spy, and really, is there sort of a hint to that in the show? I mean, somewhat. I mean, here's a woman who was a housekeeper her most of her life, at least that we know of. She worked for Bill Malloy as a housekeeper and cook. Now, she worked for the Collins family, but she was recruited by Burke Devlin to spy on him, and she continues to spy on him until Burke's death. Then she begins to love him for some reason, and it's like, all those boiled dinners, and you claim you love these people? It's like, really? She says she has a sister that we never meet, ever. We never meet Mrs. Johnson's sister, which is odd. Again, I'm not saying that the woman wasn't her sister. I mean, there people, I think, talked to her on the phone, if memory serves. I could be wrong, though, too. Again, I'm old. So, so here's what I would have liked to have seen. And again, I'm going to give into fan service here a bit. Yes, Victoria answers the door. Yes, she screams. Mrs. Johnson's look. Clarice does sell shock when she sees him, and I would have played off that right there. And she'd go into the drawing room. What are you doing here? Why are you here? I need to lay low, and please, you got to help me. You trained me. You give into the Mrs. Johnson spy theory a bit, and you hint at it, but you never really kind of confirm it. What do I say? I don't know. Say anything. Say I'm related to you. I don't know. So she goes, okay, you're my son, Harry Johnson. Who's Harry Johnson? That's who you are. You're Harry Johnson. I'm Mrs. Sarah Johnson, by the way. And so, because when Sarah Johnson does pull Harry into the room, it does give a sense that at least she knows who this is. Again, she says it's her son anyway, so now she has to lie and say it is her son. I mean, him being a thief, him being from jail, it doesn't look like a guy who was tough enough to be in jail. Again, maybe he failed out of an assignment or something. Is there another way I would have played this? You could play it that way, but a lot differently, where, okay, you don't hear the conversation between Sarah Johnson and Harry, whoever he's going to be, and they come out, oh, this is my son, Harry Johnson. And then the real reveal comes when Harry Johnson is telling Nicholas Blair everything, because Nicholas is like, oh, who are you? Where did you come from? My name isn't Johnson. It's not Harry Johnson. You got to listen. He goes, if I tell you this, my life's probably going to be in danger, because the woman working for the Collins family, her last name isn't Johnson either. Well, what's her name? And as he goes to tell her, bang, he gets shot in the back. He's dead. You never hear it. again, this character was never really written as a main character anyway, and his side character is not strong anyway. I don't think Harry Johnson or Greg Slocum's character is meant to last. Again, the writers, and I know it feels like I'm giving Dark Shadows a pass or an excuse, but I'm not. They just have bigger fish to fry than to mess around with a side character, and they did. I mean, in fairness, if you really want to get into this, there were other side characters that were killed off just as quickly or gotten rid of just as quickly, but some of them came back to play better characters. I mean, um, Don Briscoe's Tom Jennings is a character that's made into a vampire, but eventually, yes, killed off. But Tom Jennings is not alive long before he becomes that vampire, and he's killed off twice. Then he's brought back as Chris Jennings, a twin, and they use this amazing chroma key stuff to put them in scenes together that's really cool. And Chris Jennings is a much more interesting character than what Tom Jennings was, and he just was. And I mean, again, that's not Don Briscoe's fault. It's just the writers made Chris a lot more interesting. Chris was a drifter. He came into town. You didn't know Tom Jennings had a brother. It was amazing how they pulled that off. And again, you're just going to have that with characters. Greg Slocum's characters included, whether it's Noah Gifford or Harry Johnson. Harry himself could have been written as a better character, but in their defense too, in the writer's defense, and here's why I will defend the writers, I don't know if they were thinking about a blackmail angle with Harry. Keep in mind, there was a blackmail angle with Jason McGuire. There was a blackmail angle with Lieutenant Forbes, and Noah Gifford's character is somewhat involved in that angle to a degree. Well, I think he's actually killed off before that, but still, Lieutenant Forbes blackmails Joshua Collins about Barnabas. He thinks he's the Collinsport stalker. He's kind of right and kind of wrong in a sense. He's right about that he's strangling women, but he's wrong that he's just this murderer. He doesn't know Barnabas is a vampire. So, I mean, do you really write a third blackmail angle with another character, and where do you take it? Do you just have him be killed off by Mrs. Johnson, who he is blackmailing? Is he holding that over her head? If you go down that road, you sort of do have to reveal, you kind of have to reveal what he knew, or at least hint at what he knew before you kill him off. And then do you leave the audience wondering? Because if you do that, you can alienate an audience really badly. Again, is it worth the risk? It could have been, but also you got to understand, if you do alienate your audience, you're done. I don't think Greg Slocum's character killed the series. I just think, again, some characters aren't meant to last forever and aren't meant to last very long, because, I mean, why are they? The biggest question to any character is, A, why are they here? B, who are they associated with? C, if they're associated with anybody at all. Are they even associated with anybody at all? I mean, because to be fair, nobody at first knew that the Jennings were related to the Collins family, and you really didn't know that Joe Haskell, Joel Carruthers' character, was somewhat related to them too. So it's like, this is just some weird related stuff, right? It's just crazy. So I hope you guys enjoyed this character retrospective loosely. I got a versus video coming later I'm going to really enjoy. You guys have a good evening.